Today, we're diving into the massive strategic shift happening at TDK. You know, they're one of the world's most essential but often invisible technology companies. In fact, you've probably used a dozen of their products already today without even realizing it. We're going to break down how this quiet giant is completely re-engineering itself to power our future. So let me ask you this. What really powers the guts of your phone, your car, or the cloud? The answer probably isn't what you think. It's not just the big household names. The real power lies in thousands of tiny critical components packed inside all our devices. And the company making a huge chunk of them is in the middle of a transformation that's going to ripple across the entire tech world. So here's our game plan. We'll start with TDK's deep roots in tech, then unpack what they're calling their great transformation. We'll look at how they're sorting their businesses, see where they're placing their biggest bets for the future, and finally, figure out what all this means for the rest of us. All right, let's start with TDK's foundation. Now, a lot of people might picture those old cassette tapes, but the company's real identity was forged way before that and has changed dramatically over the years. Yeah, many of us definitely remember the TDK logo on cassette tapes, but that's really a ghost from the company's past. They were founded back in 1935 to commercialize a magnetic material called ferrite, but their modern story is all about smart evolution. Key acquisitions like Germany's EP codes in 2008 and the sensor expert InvenSense in 2017 really transformed them into a global powerhouse for the guts of modern technology. And that history of constant evolution brings us right up to today and to the core of this whole story, what TDK itself is calling its great transformation. And look, this isn't just about tweaking a few product lines. It's a fundamental reinvention of the company's entire mission. The goal here is super ambitious. They want to speed up growth by planting themselves right at the center of two huge global shifts. The first is the digital transformation. Think AI, the Internet of Things. And the second is the energy transformation. Everything driven by renewable energy and electric vehicles. Now, to really get their plan, you have to know one key metric, ROIC, which stands for Return on Invested Capital. The easiest way to think about it is like a financial report card. It just measures how well a company is using its money to make more money. A high ROIC means you're making smart investments, and this metric is now the absolute centerpiece of TDK's strategy. And TDK is not being fuzzy about this at all. They've set a very demanding, very public target, hit an 11% ROIC by their 2027 fiscal year. That sends a powerful signal, both inside the company and to the market, that says every single part of this empire has to pull its own weight, period. So how does a massive company actually hit a target like that? Well, it takes some pretty ruthless discipline. And this is where TDK's methodical approach comes in. Starting with a hard, honest look at every single one of its businesses. They've sorted their entire portfolio into four main buckets based on performance. You've got your growing businesses and your stable profit base. Those are your star players. Then you have the next generation bets, the stuff that's still in R&D. And then there's the challenging category. These are the businesses that are actually losing money, and they are now officially on the clock. And this sorting process isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a relentless, continuous cycle. TDK is now constantly monitoring every division against these tough new standards. They pinpoint any business that falls short, and then they act, promising to either fix it or sell it off within just 2 to 3 years. All this disciplined sorting isn't just about cutting costs. It's about freeing up capital and brainpower to double down on the technologies that are going to define our future. So let's take a look at where TDK is placing its biggest chips. First up, passive components. Okay, I know the name doesn't sound very glamorous, but these are the absolute non-negotiable building blocks of all electronics. They're the unseen, unsung heroes inside every single device you own, managing how electricity flows. And demand here is just exploding. Take one key component, a multi-layer ceramic capacitor, or MLCC. A regular gas-powered car uses about 5,000 of them. A modern electric vehicle, it needs around 10,000. Double. So as the world goes electric, TDK's job as a top supplier becomes way more critical. All right, next up, sensors. If passive components are the building blocks, then sensors are the digital eyes, ears, and nervous system of modern tech. They're what allow our devices to actually understand and react to the physical world around them. Their sensor portfolio is huge. We're talking about everything from the motion sensors that flip your phone's screen to advanced magnetic sensors that are vital for EVs and factory automation. They make the temperature and pressure sensors keeping our gadgets safe, and the tiny microphones that let you talk to your smart speaker. TDK is basically building the sensory network for our entire connected world. The third major bet is on energy, specifically those small rechargeable batteries that power our mobile lives. TDK is already a huge player here, and their batteries are in countless smartphones and wearables right now. But they're not just sitting back. They're actively pushing battery tech into the future by developing new cells that use silicon anodes. Now, this is a big deal because it allows for much higher energy density, which just means more power in the same size battery. To keep up with demand, they're even building a brand new factory in India. And finally, we come full circle, right back to TDK's magnetic roots. This part of the company is absolutely critical for the backbone of the internet, those massive data centers that make up the cloud. TDK is a world leader in making the magnetic heads that read and write data on high-capacity hard drives. With data storage demand from AI and the cloud just going through the roof, the industry needs a breakthrough. And that breakthrough is called HAMR, Heat-Assisted Magnetic Recording. This is revolutionary stuff. It uses a tiny laser to heat the disk, which lets the magnetic head write data into much smaller spaces. This allows for a massive leap in storage capacity, and TDK is developing the heads that make HAMR possible. So after looking at the history, the tough news strategy, and their big bets on the future, what's the big takeaway here? What does this all mean? You know, this quote from TDK's CEO, Noboru Saito, really gets to the heart of it. He's basically saying that breakthroughs like HAMR don't just happen by accident. They are the direct result of a deep, long-term commitment to research and development. This venture spirit, as he calls it, is a core belief that mastering the fundamental materials is the only way to create real, lasting value. So let's boil it all down. TDK has moved far beyond just being a consumer brand. It is a critical component manufacturer. It's making a sharp, disciplined pivot straight towards high-growth areas like EVs, AI, and the IoT. And this whole transformation is guided by that relentless focus on profitability, on ROIC. Simply put, TDK is making the hidden engines that power pretty much all of modern technology. TDK has laid out a really clear, really aggressive strategy. They're betting that by mastering the fundamental building blocks of technology, they can lock in their position as an essential partner for decades to come. Their success won't be something we see in big, splashy product launches, but we'll feel it in the quiet, reliable hum of the devices that power our entire world.